Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Entrepreneur Stories. In this video, I'm going to be interviewing Jatali Bellanton, who's the owner and operator of Kids Who Bank. She also runs a number of seminars and events that center around entrepreneurship and financial literacy. Check it out. Nowadays, it is not likely that you will work at the same job for 40 years until you retire. Jobs are not as easy to come by anymore. And even if you have a job, usually the pay is not enough. There's an income and wealth gap. I believe that the major solution to the income and wealth gap is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone, but I believe that there are more future business owners out there that are waiting to be born. In this series, I will talk to entrepreneurs and business owners about their journey, their successes, and their failures. I believe we can learn from their stories.
I spent almost 14 years in the finance world, corporate UK, corporate US. I did investment banking for almost 9 years. And then I did about 4 years of forensic accounting. And I worked with some amazing people, from Marc Jacobs and Oscar de la Renta to you name it. We had them as clients. And, I just learned in that time frame as well that there was this one missing component, which was rich people don't pay full price for anything. When I tell you that I had a client, she was a multi-millionaire. This woman had at least $500 million in her bank account, right? And this woman literally would wait till the Ralph Lauren sample sale would come around to go stock up on stuff. And she's like, oh, I got this king size mattress and all of this stuff and all discounted. And I'm like, wow, because if it's us, we're paying $400, right? And I noticed in communities of color, when something is not in season, it's not really the best thing to run and get. And with this woman, I was learning from her that no, the rich truly, and it wasn't just her, it was a lot of them, that my rich clients didn't pay full price for anything. And that really blew my mind. And then I think that was like the background making of this person that I am now.
Wow. So you said you did 14 years in corporate UK?
And US.
And 14 years in, UK and US. When did you transition from being an employee to, creating your own opportunity? How did that happen? What did it look like?
My son is what happened. I woke up, I always in the back of my mind, I've always helped the kids in my family learn about money. I've helped my nephew purchase his first pre-foreclosure property, and I've done all these cool things. But when it was time for me to do this with my son, I started looking for books that said with financial literacy, fun books for my son, and I couldn't find any. That was the first problem. And then the second thing was working for a company where they kind of like, oh, you're a mom, that's nice, but we still want you to work till 11 o'clock midnight like you used to when you weren't a mom. And I was like, well, I used to do that before, but I wasn't a mother. And now that I am about to be a mom, and now my son is coming into this world, I don't want to work till midnight. I can't work till midnight. And originally with the corporation I was working with, they said, no problem, we understand. And then when my son came out, the first minute account had an issue, they were like, Jatali, you have to work till 11. I said, I can't. I have a baby. I have a newborn at home. He's only 3-4 months old.
Stay dry and fresh with Clean Bee underarm sweat pads. Our unscented cotton pads absorb moisture and odors caused by deodorant and sweating. Regain your confidence and feel comfortable every day with our anti-sweat pads. Your secret weapon against stress sweat. Clean Bee underarm sweat pads.
So, do you think everybody can make that transition?
I don't think everyone can make that transition, to be honest with you. And the reason I say that is because some people are not willing to put in the work that it takes, and it's not easy. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of sweat. It's a lot of sleepless nights. It's a lot of working till 3-4 a.m. A lot of people don't want to do that. And I think for some people, especially just the clientele, the networking part. So, okay, let's say you don't mind putting in the blood, sweat, and tears for that, but then there's a whole lot of networking that goes into becoming an entrepreneur. You know, it's being outside of your comfort shell. As a person who worked in the finance world, my comfort zone was numbers and not really having to deal with people. So when I became an entrepreneur, it was really like I had to push myself to say hi to someone sometimes. You need to be able to fight for what you love. You need to be able to hear rejection and hear no's. Another thing that makes being an entrepreneur hard is getting rejected. Some people don't like rejection. When you work a 9 to 5, they give you a template as to what you need to do, and everything is rainbows, right? And if you don't do something within that line, then it's your fault, right? But when you're an entrepreneur, you're gonna fall a million times, and there's no one there to pick you up. There's no one to give you a consistent check, so it's your job to make that happen. So all of these different various components, I feel, make it harder to be an entrepreneur. So it's not for everyone, and that's okay.
So all right, so a couple you said a lot. There's a lot of stuff that that I want to unpack in there. So I wanted to talk about failure later on, but I still want to keep up with the hard work. So you said that working in corporate, wherever, America, UK, whatever, that they would say, okay, you need to work until 11, and they didn't care if you had your child or not or whatever. Mm-hmm. So is it easier being an entrepreneur? Do you work less as an entrepreneur?
You work more, in my opinion, but the hours are different. But as an entrepreneur, I get to control that. And there's nothing to me better than being able to control what and when I do what. So I work more because I'm working for myself, so I'm putting in 100%. But what's crazy about it is that I would have done this much, if not more, when I was working 9 to 5. When I was working corporate, I would do all of this for this corporation, and there was a cap as to how much I was usually going to make. But now there is no cap, because as hard as I go, then the potential of what I can make and what I can create it's kind of like boundless and ruthless. Right, so it's exciting.
Wow. So failure. We talked about failure. So how do you deal with failure? How do you manage failure as an entrepreneur?
Know the value of what you're bringing to the table. When you know the value of what you're bringing to the table, I think that it changes the game for you, because rejection won't really mean as much to you because you know your own value. And if you don't know your own value, you can't expect anyone else to know your value or even believe in your dream. So get 1,000 no's, but it's about that one yes, and taking that one yes and turning it into 20 yeses, and then 50 yeses, and just keep going from there. So yeah, failure is annoying. It sucks. It's gonna happen, but it's not truly failure as long as you keep pushing.
If you learned a lot and enjoyed watching the video, please watch our other videos in the playlist. Also, subscribe to our channel, Entrepreneur Stories.